My name is Marshall Gray, and I've lived in Spokane, Washington for over 30 years. I'm 59 now, semi-retired, and these days I mostly keep to myself. My place sits on a quiet street, old maples lining both sides, the kind of neighborhood where people still wave as they drive by, or at least they used to. Around here, people remember if you snowblow your neighbor's sidewalk or if you don't. I used to run a small electrical and appliance repair shop on the corner of Sprague and Argonne Gray's Fix-It until my lower back and shoulder started giving me real trouble. Years of bending, hauling, crawling under sinks and behind dryers finally caught up. So now I do little side jobs here and there, mostly for old friends or neighbors who need a quick fix. I've never charged much. Honestly, I rarely charged anything at all. Fixing a busted fan motor or replacing a blown fuse. What's that, 15 minutes and $6? I didn't see the point in nickel and diming folks. Maybe that's old school, but to me, lending a hand was part of living in a decent community. About 6 years ago, a guy named Travis Nolan moved in across the street. Tall guy, early 40s, big laugh that you could hear from half a block away. Moved in with his wife Linda and their teenage boy Austin. Travis worked in municipal sanitation city crew stuff. He'd wave crack a joke now and then, seemed all right. When they first arrived, I helped them carry in a washer that got stuck in the moving truck. Later that week, I gave him a hand fixing a leaking valve in the downstairs sink. No charge, no big deal, just neighborly stuff. Didn't think much of it. But that little gesture, it would end up starting something I never saw coming. Because the thing about favors, they're easy to give until you realize you've been giving to someone who only knows how to take. It didn't take long before the small favors turned into routine calls. About a month after I helped Travis with his sink, he knocked on my door holding a disassembled toaster oven. "Thing won't heat up," he said, scratching the back of his neck. "Figured maybe you could take a look." "You used to run that shop, right?" "Sure." I took a look. One of the heating elements was cracked. I had a spare lying around from an old unit I'd scrapped months earlier. 20 minutes later, it worked like new. Travis grinned, clapped me on the back, and walked off with a "thanks, man, that was it." No offer to pay, no mention of a six-pack, not even a bottle of water while I was crouched on the floor of his kitchen, rewiring his busted microwave the next time he asked. And there were always more next to us: the garbage disposal, the dryer, a bad circuit in the garage, his son's computer monitor, the basement lights. Over the next few years, I must have been over at the Nolan house more than 20 times. Always fixing something, always for free. Not once did he ask if I was busy. Not once did he offer anything in return. It was like to him my time just existed for him to use. And look, I told myself I didn't mind. I figured maybe this was just how he operated. Maybe he didn't think twice because I never made a fuss, and I didn't want to be that guy holding grudges over favors. Besides, I wasn't doing much else. I wasn't traveling. I wasn't hosting dinner parties. I kept telling myself it's good to be useful, but little signs started gnawing at me. Like the time he watched me climb a shaky ladder to clean my gutters and just sipped his coffee from his porch. Or when I hauled 3 bags of mulch from my truck to the backyard sweating through my shirt, and he just waved and went back inside. It was becoming clear to Travis helping went one way, and it sure as hell wasn't his way. It wasn't until last October that everything really shifted. I'd bought this gorgeous old dresser from a resale shop about 20 minutes outside of town. Solid oak hand-carved handles, the kind of piece you don't find anymore. Thing must have weighed close to 200 pounds. I got it off the truck by myself, slowly, carefully, but there was no way I could muscle it up the porch steps and through the front door on my own. My lower back was already barking, and one wrong move could land me in the ER again. As luck would have it, Travis was outside. He was crouched in his front yard, pulling weeds earbuds, dangling sweat glistening across his neck. I figured this would be quick, 5 minutes of lifting and I'd be all set. I raised my hand and called out, "Hey Travis, can I borrow you for a sec? Just need a hand getting this dresser inside, won't take long." He stood up, turned to face me, squinting against the sun. Then he smirked. "No can do," he said, "not my job. Maybe ask someone who actually owes you something." And then he laughed hard, like it was a joke between old buddies. I didn't laugh, I just stood there stunned. All the afternoons I'd spent elbow deep in his busted appliances lying on cold tile floors, crawling under his sink. And now when I needed a favor, I got a punchline. I said nothing, just turned away. Took me nearly an hour to drag that thing inside. Had to pivot it sideways, push with my knees, rest every few steps. My arms were shaking by the time it hit the hallway. I collapsed onto the nearest chair, drenched in sweat, furious and sore for days afterward. That should have been the end of it. But the real insult, it came the very next morning. The next morning, I woke up groggy. My room was dark, too dark. The usual hum from the refrigerator, the quiet whir from my desk fan, gone. I reached for my phone to check the time, but it was dead. Not just uncharged, completely drained. I looked around trying to make sense of it. Did we have a storm last night? I didn't remember hearing anything. I stepped outside to check the neighborhood. Streetlights were still on. Sprinklers ticked away on the neighbor's lawn. Across the street, Travis's porch light glowed like nothing had happened. Just me. I walked around the side of the house toward my breaker box and my stomach twisted. The gate latch, always closed, always secure, was dangling open. The box itself was half ajar. 2 breakers were flipped and the faceplate was scratched like someone had forced it open with a flathead screwdriver. I hadn't touched that box in over a month. There was no doubt in my mind someone had done this. Someone had broken into my yard and tampered with my power, and I knew exactly who. But I didn't go banging on Travis's door. I didn't call the police just yet. I took pictures, every scratch, every flipped breaker, the broken gate latch from every angle. I documented it all. Then I got to work. First, I installed a heavy-duty lock on the breaker box, one of those tamper-proof ones with steel casing. Then I reinforced the gate with a new latch and a motion-triggered floodlight. No more easy access. But here's the part that really lit the fire under me. I remembered something. Over the years, more and more neighbors had started calling Travis when something broke. He'd gained this reputation for being handy, but only because people saw him fixing things. What they didn't know was that I was the one behind those repairs, quietly making him look capable. And now he was running around town taking small jobs, dishwashers, fans, outlets, collecting cash for shoddy fixes. Sloppy work, Google search quick fixes, stuff that never held up. That's when I realized Travis wasn't just lazy, he was a fraud with a temper. And I had the receipts to prove it. Over the next few days, I started gathering names, people Travis had helped, or rather, people he'd misled. It didn't take long. Monica, a single mother living 2 blocks over, said her fridge stopped working completely 3 days after Travis fixed it. Then there was Chris, a guy I know from the local veterans group. He said Travis rewired his ceiling fan, and now it only worked when the light was off. I started compiling all of it: dates, names, problems, what Travis claimed he fixed, and then I posted it. Not in anger, not as an attack, just facts. I went to our local neighborhood Facebook group, Oakview Neighbors Connect, and posted this. After 6 years of helping a neighbor fix every appliance in his home, I asked for help moving a dresser. I was laughed at and turned away. The next morning, my power was tampered with. My breaker box was damaged. I've attached photos. Be careful who you trust with your home repairs. That was all it took. The comments started rolling in. Travis ruined my washing machine. He charged me $120 to fix my oven. It stopped working 2 days later. He used duct tape to stop a leak under my sink. Dozens of messages, dozens of stories, some with photos, some with receipts. Travis tried to defend himself in the thread, said people were lying, trying to gang up on him. But the more he typed, the worse it got. His tone turned bitter, defensive, erratic. He deleted some comments, argued in others. And then someone dropped a bombshell. A woman named Tara posted, "I think he's been using city equipment for these side jobs. I saw him carrying one of those branded tool bags a few months back. Thought he was just running errands." That caught real attention. The next day, someone filed a formal report with city services. Travis worked for the municipal maintenance crew, and if he was moonlighting with public equipment, that was a serious problem. 2 days later, I saw the city truck leave his driveway and not return. He'd been suspended, an internal audit had begun. And Travis, he didn't step outside for 3 whole days. 3 days passed. Travis stayed holed up inside. His wife, Melissa, started packing up boxes. I saw her sister's SUV in the driveway, the back filled with duffel bags and a few family photos stacked on the seat. Their teenage son, Caleb, didn't even say goodbye. He just climbed in, headphones on, and stared out the window. By that weekend, they were gone, left Travis standing in the driveway alone, watching the U-Haul disappear. He didn't wave, he didn't shout, he just stood there. For a moment, I thought maybe that was it, that karma had played its hand and we could all move on. I was wrong. A week later, I woke up and found thick black motor oil poured across my driveway. The slick caught the morning sun just right. It almost looked intentional, like someone wanted it to be seen. I nearly slipped bringing in the paper, checked my security camera right away, but something was off. The footage between midnight and 2 a.m. gone, just static, like someone had wiped it or disabled it. I tried to shake it off. Coincidence, maybe. I cleaned the mess and moved on. But a few nights later, I came out to find my front left tire slashed. Not all 4, just one. Just enough to inconvenience me, not enough to draw too much attention. Again, same missing window on the security footage. That's when the pit formed in my stomach. This wasn't random, this was personal, and I had a strong hunch who was behind it. I finally called the police, filed a report, showed them the photos, mentioned the camera gaps. They took it seriously, said they'd increase patrols in my area, but there wasn't much they could do without hard evidence. Still, I could feel it. Travis was unraveling. No job, no family, no income, no reputation. The guy was a cornered animal, and I was the one he blamed. Whispers around town said the city might press charges if they confirmed he'd stolen equipment or falsified repairs. Even his old drinking buddies crossed the street when they saw him now. But the worst was yet to come. It was a Thursday afternoon, quiet, just before sunset, when I heard the knock. Not loud, not urgent, just a soft, deliberate knock-knock on my front door. When I opened it, a woman stood there, maybe early 30s, light brown hair tied back, clutching a small notepad. She looked like she wasn't sure she should be there. "You're Frank?" she asked, barely above a whisper. "I am," I replied, cautious. She glanced over her shoulder before stepping in closer. "My name's Lena. I used to date Travis, years ago before he married Melissa. We kept in touch off and on. I saw your post in the Facebook group. I think you need to see something." I let her in. Her hands were shaking as she pulled out her phone. "Travis. When he feels cornered, he gets vindictive, real dark. I thought maybe he was just blowing off steam, but this." She scrolled through her messages and showed me the screen. It was a text from just 3 nights earlier. "That old man doesn't know who he's messing with. He wants to make this public fine. Let's see how he likes a blackout or maybe a little fire in that shed he loves so much." The sender ID matched Travis's number, and she had more screenshots of other threats, mentions of tampering with cameras, prying open breaker boxes, even hints that he'd vandalized another neighbor's yard months ago. I stood there in stunned silence. "He talked about your tools, Frank. He knows where you keep them," Lena said, her voice unsteady. "I couldn't live with myself if something happened to you and I didn't speak up." I thanked her. She didn't stay long, just handed me the screenshots and walked out the door like she couldn't get away fast enough. Once she was gone, I sat down and looked through every message, every threat, every timestamp. It wasn't just suspicion anymore. This was proof. And I knew what I had to do. I didn't wait. That same night, I compiled every screenshot Lena gave me. I added the photos of my vandalized driveway, the tire, the tampered breaker box, the missing security footage, logs every detail I had documented since this mess began. Then I made one final post in our neighborhood Facebook group. No accusations, just facts. If you've been wondering why I spoke out, here's the full story. Then I attached the screenshots. One by one, the comments poured in. "He threatened you. I knew something was off with him. He used my name for a repair last year." People weren't just angry now. They were afraid, and with good reason. Stories started pouring in. One neighbor said Travis had offered to fix her dryer and ended up charging her $200 to literally tape the back panel shut. Another said he saw Travis snooping near his garage in the early morning hours, but had been too uneasy to confront him. Someone else said Travis bragged about making people disappear when he was drunk. But the final blow came from an anonymous account with a familiar tone. The user claimed to be Elijah, a former co-worker of Travis's from the city maintenance department. In his message, he shared something that made everyone's jaw drop. Travis once intentionally shorted a transformer line during a city repair, then blamed it on a rookie to avoid discipline. That rookie got fired. Whether it was ever proven didn't matter. The post hit hard and people believed it. No one defended Travis anymore. Then came the final straw. A woman named Laura, who lived 2 streets over, shared that she had caught Travis standing in her backyard at 2 a.m., staring at her teenage daughter's bedroom window. She filed a restraining order that same day, and that's when things moved fast. Police showed up at Travis's house that evening. They searched the place from top to bottom. They found city-owned tools, electrical gear, a pry bar, hard drives, even uniforms that hadn't been issued in years. And just like that, Travis McConnell was arrested right on his front porch. No struggle, no words, just silence. But I knew deep down that wasn't the end of it. Not yet. After Travis was cuffed and hauled away, everything got quiet. Too quiet. The block, once filled with the sounds of weekend barbecues and friendly porch chats, felt frozen. People who used to wave from across the street now averted their eyes. The Facebook group that had once been buzzing turned cold and careful. Everyone was watching everyone. And I couldn't shake the feeling that it still wasn't over. 2 weeks after the arrest, I found an unmarked envelope in my mailbox. No stamp, no return address, just my name written in thick, uneven letters. Inside was a single sheet of paper, folded once, written in permanent black marker, bold and deliberate. Enjoy the peace, it won't last. That was it. No signature, no fingerprints, no joke. I turned it in to the police immediately. They added it to the file, but I could see it in their faces they didn't expect much to come from it. No witnesses, no prints, no camera footage. So I did what I had to do. I installed a new camera aimed directly at the street, upgraded the doorbell cam to one with night vision and cloud backup, reinforced the gate, and added motion-triggered floodlights down the side yard. But none of that helped me sleep. Every creak, every gust of wind, every flash of light outside made my heart race. I started carrying a flashlight and a crowbar every time I stepped into the shed or even took the trash out. I'd never felt this way in my own home before. And that more than the damage, the lies, the threats, that's what infuriated me the most. He had stolen my sense of safety, but I still wasn't finished. Because one morning, just as I was starting to believe the worst might be behind me, someone knocked on my door again. This time it wasn't a friend, a neighbor, or even a threat. It was a city investigator. She introduced herself as Jenna Simmons, city investigator. Her tone was firm but not aggressive, and she held up a badge before stepping inside. She asked if I had a few minutes to discuss Travis McConnell and any interactions I'd had with him related to city-related work. I nodded and led her to the kitchen where a folder had already been sitting on the table. Everything I had gathered, texts, photos, printed Facebook threads, and the timeline I'd documented since day one. She didn't seem surprised. Turns out the city audit had uncovered more than stolen tools. Travis had been running a long con posing as an authorized municipal contractor, even forging documents to get into homes, taking money under the table for bogus repairs, and in some cases using real city uniforms to make himself look legitimate. Jenna asked, "Do you know a man named Victor Reyes?" I blinked. Yeah. He's the inspection officer for this district. I worked with him once or twice back in the day. She nodded. Travis listed Victor as his reference on several jobs claiming city approval. Then she paused. Victor says he hasn't spoken to Travis in 5 years. I felt my chest tighten. He'd used Victor's name, his reputation to back his con jobs, just like he used mine. This wasn't just fraud anymore. This was impersonation, identity theft, and deliberate deception of an entire community. Jenna thanked me for the documents and asked if I'd be willing to make a formal statement when the case moved forward. I told her I already had it ready, but I wasn't done. That night I called Victor. We weren't close, but we respected each other. When I told him what Jenna had said, he got quiet. Then he told me to meet him at the old community hall the next morning, 9 a.m. sharp. I didn't know what to expect. But when I arrived, he was already waiting in his pickup, a manila folder sitting on the dashboard. Inside were copies of permits, fake ones. Some had my name forged. Others had Victor's. Found these in an old filing cabinet no one touches anymore, he said. Filed under jobs that never happened. That's when something inside me snapped. This wasn't just a feud anymore. Travis had built a web of lies using my name as the foundation, and I wasn't going to let that stand another second.